The wedge. The wedge. Edge of the wedge. Edge of the wedge. Edge of the wedge.
Hi there, welcome to a special edition of The Music Wedge. I'm Mark Dodgson. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're the biggest band in the country or whether you're just starting out. There are three things that are critically important to every band. First of all, getting suitable gigs, getting good management, and making records. And today we're going to see an interview with three people who actually help young bands achieve these things. In fact, it's people like John Needham, Stuart Coop, and Tim McLean who actually keep the Australian music scene thriving. We're also going to see some live music recorded by the Wedge over the last few months. And here's Virginia Moncrief asking the questions.
How do you all three work when you're dealing with one single artist?
Well, it's important that the whole thing is coordinated, that, the deal is usually negotiated with the manager, so I would work with Stuart and nut out that what's going to happen financially, and also the promotion campaign. It's also something that the record companies are always highly involved in if they've got a record company. So everyone has a part in what goes on.
Does this mean that a band loses control?
I don't think so. I mean, the way I work is that, like, Paul is, crucially involved in anything that goes on. I mean, he knows at any given time exactly how much money he's got, what he's doing for the next 3 months, if I know. He reads through every recording contract, every publishing contract, which is things we're doing at the moment. He has a say in the photographs that go out. He gives the okay to the posters, along with the rest of the band, because he obviously plays with the coloured girls. So
depends on what the band wants, I think. Some bands maintain their own independence and others are quite prepared to sell it.
I think they should be interested. If any mistakes are made, and usually they are, well, it's either way. It can be a mistake or it could be, who knows, but it's best, I think, that everyone takes an interested part in it.
That's a little bit of local history now. On South Dowling. My baby was dying, turning so blue. 4 feet from me dying. My head was feeling really bad. Loaded and sinking to the vegetable zone. Just kept on sinking. Now she's mineral and bone. I couldn't save my baby.
Couldn't save his baby.
We lived on the first floor. We lived in 2 rooms. Now my poor baby, she lives with the world. A head full of rocks is a heavy head. I was watching a movie. Someone was dead. Now people they whisper. Now people they stare. They say I could have saved her, even though I was right there. I could have saved my baby.
Couldn't save his baby.
We lived on the first floor. We lived in 2 rooms. Now my poor baby lives with the world. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
I've found over the years, just observing bands, that some bands are amazingly self-reliant, and there are a few. I mean, I think of bands like Henderson and Collectors who actually have an excellent manager, but have demonstrated the capacity to look after themselves, quite easily. I mean, a couple of them are trained accountants, and they've got a background that would enable them to do a lot of what a manager does.
What criterion would you use to decide whether or not to manage a band?
I like them. I mean, that's the only criteria I have, because I've tried on occasions to work either publicising or generally working with bands that I have no feelings for, and then you become the used car salesman.
I don't have to live with the band for that long. It's a matter of booking it. When the show's over, I can forget about it and go on to the next exercise. So for me, it's quite easy in that respect. So, but it does help. I mean, if I like the act and really enjoy what's going on, there's a lot more enthusiasm in the promotional exercise.
Tim, is there a set roster of bands that you have as a promoter?
Well, not really. I mean, I look after really varying size venues, like from a couple of little corner pubs to a large venue. So there is a real variation in the sort of acts that I need to fill those rooms. So it's no, it's not as simple as that.
else, and I don't know who they'll carry on. I'll remember that night when my only ray of sunshine was a gun. Well, I told myself I needed you, and I put myself all alone. Well, I told myself I wanted you, and I put myself all alone. I could never ask forgiveness, you could never ever look me in the eye. Next time I go hunting, I'll make sure that it's you that will cry. Well, I told myself I needed you, and I put myself all alone. I told myself I wanted you, and I put myself all alone.
Any of you people feel alone, displaced, all by yourself, in your own isolation?
I don't want to be alone anymore. I want to meet people. I want to be socially acceptable.
You will do it one day. Walking alone, and I like walking alone. My company is close to me. Living alone, and I like living alone. No one's asking me to care. walking alone. My ecstasy is fantasy. Living alone, and I like it. Living alone. No one's asking me to change. I'll remain the same. I wanna be like you. I don't wanna be like you. I wanna be like you. I don't wanna be like you. I wanna be like you. I don't wanna be like you. 'Cause I'll never be alone again. Because I'll never be alone again. Because I'll never be alone again. Because I'll never be alone.
Edge.
Do you notice record sales change a lot when they go to other cities?
Records always sell at point of contact, so if a band goes interstate and plays, they will sell more records where they play. And a band who doesn't go interstate won't sell records interstate.
With Paul Kelly, have you toured him nationally?
Yeah, he's gone as far as Perth, and they're just about to go to Darwin for a month and down to Alice Springs, and that's about as national as you can get.
Is that hard to organise?
It can be pretty sort of nerve-wracking, especially when you know your coordination revolves around 1 week coming together, and then you have to worry, and if that doesn't come together, then you can't do the next week, and then suddenly you find that, say, the promoter in Adelaide can't get the money that you need to cover costs, so you've got to decide whether, say, you go from Perth straight to Melbourne or stay in Perth for another week, and, you know, there's a lot of logistics that have to be worried about.
So what kind of venues are you looking at for a person like Paul Kelly?
Paul is now sort of, I mean, he's reasonably successful. He does particularly well in Melbourne, so he looks at playing places that hold between sort of 700 and 2,000 people and would on average be able to draw 800, 900, 1,000 people, you know, if the show's promoted well and it's in one of the areas that he's popular. Then again, we might take him to somewhere, I mean, who knows how many people we're going to get in Darwin. I mean, I've got no idea.
So why do you do a place like Darwin?
Well, why not? And because it's, you know, it's somewhere else to go, it's somewhere for them to play, it's an interesting experience. I mean, you can't keep playing in Sydney, or you can't go to Melbourne every 3 weeks, you know, eventually people just get tired of seeing you. And, you know, people in Darwin buy records, people in Tasmania buy records, people in Perth buy records. So, you know, it's largely exposure and promoting a record, having another place to go.
Standing at my doorway, I wondered why his hand was painted red. It's just a scratch, he said. Here we go again. Stumbled to the car. By the time we hit mid-market, we was white. I said, it looks as I say. He said, I don't feel no pain, and I know just what to do. And I know it's nothing new. We've been through this before, but I don't follow. Why must it be you? Stuck until the end, though you said I was no friend, but you were blind. I was much too kind on a wide train. Some will swim and some will sit. Some of them find a place where they don't slip. Others take a ship on a wide train. Get along, and I know just what to do. And I know it's nothing new. We've been through this before.
To do a tour with Paul Kelly, how much money are you looking at as far as...
Heaps. You're not supposed to ask money questions.
Are you ever in any danger of losing money?
Oh, you're always in danger of losing money. I mean, if, suddenly you get halfway around a tour and then something goes wrong, Paul might lose his voice, the bass player might trip over and break his leg or something, or the promoter might, go bankrupt, leave town, lose some shows because venues close because of licensing laws. I mean, any number of things could happen. In Paul's case, he's financing his next record himself, so if the record doesn't sell, trouble. It'll sell.
When you're talking about sales for a small Australian band, what are you looking at generally overall?
Well, I don't know. Just depends upon the band. I mean, some smaller labels quite happy to sell 500 copies of something. Just depends upon the popularity of the band.
If you sell 500 copies of a record, do you make money?
No. You'd probably be needing to sell maybe 1,000 copies before you actually broke even. And that's not paying yourself. I'm talking about a band who did their own record, for instance. They'd probably not pay themselves royalties either.
So is it really worth it in the end to put out a record that's only going to sell 500 copies?
Well, a lot of bands have got to start somewhere, and if you have a record out, it's easier for you to get to play shows.
Tim, do you take that into account when you book a band into your venue, whether they have any records or a tour behind them?
Well, the sort of venues I look after, it doesn't really have a lot of effect, I don't think.
So how do you gauge the popularity of a band?
Well, it's hard to say. I'm not too sure. I suppose it's just from comments from how they've done before or how things are building up. I mean, you just sort of have a feeling whether something's on the way up or on the way down, really. It's I suppose a gut instinct about things, or you just hear things. I mean, if they are getting airplay, sure, that helps. If they're getting reviews, that's great. If people are raving about how wonderful their live show is, that's all those things count.
I would like to commend all you brave souls trying to dance out there. I wouldn't try it, but well, life is short. You might as well try everything you can. Don't hurt yourself, though.
Edge of the wedge. Edge of the wedge. Edge.
wedge, the wedge,